Welcome. In this video, I'm going to show you how to find the derivative of this function here. That is the derivative of pi times cosh inverse of x over pi. So f prime of x, well, that's equal to the derivative of this entire function here. That's pi times cosh inverse of x over pi. We do need to apply the chain rule, but first I can pull this constant out. Pi is just a constant. And then we still have to take the derivative of cosh inverse of x over pi using the chain rule. So the outer function, well, that's just our inverse hyperbolic. That is cosh inverse. And the inner function here is x over pi. And I just made a little bit of space. So this becomes pi times the derivative of the outer function, which is 1 divided by the square root. And then this is where we need our input of x over pi, since we leave the outer function evaluated, that is, we leave the derivative evaluated at the same place. Well, that's squared minus 1, and then we multiply that by the derivative of that inner function x over pi. All right, so we have pi in our numerator here. Our denominator, we have x squared over pi squared minus 1. And then the derivative of x over pi is just 1 over pi. That is because 1 over pi is just simply a constant, and the derivative of x is just going to be 1. Okay, so now we've multiplied this entire quantity by 1 over pi, which means I have a pi in the numerator and a pi in the denominator. So pi divided by itself is just 1. We can continue simplifying this algebraically by cleaning up what's in that radical in the denominator. So I'm going to rewrite that 1 as a pi squared over pi squared. This means my denominator is now x squared minus pi squared divided by pi squared, and this entire quantity in the radical. I can further rewrite this as 1 divided by, and I'm going to break the radical up here, as x squared minus pi squared on top, and then the square root of pi squared on the bottom. As usual, I need more space. Well, here it is. I have 1 divided by another fraction, so I can just rewrite the denominator here as its own reciprocal. So that's pi squared in the square root divided by x squared minus pi squared. And of course, our numerator just simplifies to pi, and then we're left with the square root of x squared minus pi squared in our denominator. So there you have it. F of x, is pi times cosh inverse of x over pi. And f prime of x is pi divided by the square root of x squared minus pi squared.